Gormus. But I love that Miller started singing Gomez.
Oh, I thought, what's his name? What's his name? I'm sorry.
Gormus.
Gomez. I'm sorry. I don't like to pronounce people's names.
So what else is on the Visit Blackstone video?
Would you like to start with that?
You wanna open the meeting?
Yeah.
Is this,
Yeah.
this is Carolyn, yeah.
Yeah.
At 6:30, we're gonna call to order the meeting of the Building, Property, and Cemetery Committee meeting.
Can y'all see okay?
Yeah, it's good enough.
I don't know if this TV, I don't know how to cut, she didn't show me.
We're good now. It's just us. Not a big deal.
All right, guys, I'll go real quick and just give you a heads up. I assume most of you know, and if it's okay with you, Carolyn, we'll do
Yes,
this
yes,
presentation first, and Theo can go
Of
if
course.
you want to.
Is that okay?
yes, yes.
As you may or may not remember, part of our ARPA money was used because when I say ARPA money, it was COVID relief money that was made available for touchless and hands-free and all that kind of stuff to try to find ways to get people hands-free doors and hands-free watering fountains and all that kind of stuff. So that was part of the same program where we came up with the idea to create a virtual or visual tour of the museum, and specifically the Robert Thomas Carriage Museum. And
But you have both.
pardon?
You have both.
Short tackle on it too? Yes, okay. But it was intended initially for Robert Thomas, but
So that
We got two
somebody
more.
could be explaining in your ear or whatever it is.
you don't have to have a tour guide necessarily with the plan. We still have to have the buildings open, and we still got some work there and all that kind of stuff, but we hope that this is going to relieve people from having to actually have a tour guide all the time. So if the DBI director's there, or Phil's there, or Chassis is there, or Eric's there by hand.
Well,
Nothing
both
changed.
of the places are self-guided anyway, really.
Correct.
Both
but
of them have information on the
Correct,
walls.
yes.
And
You can read
Yeah.
it.
But you know,
you
it's
can read
always
it.
it's always more intriguing when you can hear or
There's no audio.
correct.
Yeah, we can hear the passion
No
in their
audio
voice
on this.
There's
about
no
what
audio
they're
to
saying.
this.
Yeah.
There's not.
So this is the website,
Okay.
visitblackstoneva.com.
How could we get an audio portion to it?
I'm sure it's not that difficult.
I mean, we get Robert to read a narrative or something
Yeah.
like that. you know?
Well, there's a video of him, if you want to go back and see that first. Oh, darn, I went the wrong way. Let's see.
I think the audio, but that's what I was
There
thinking.
he is.
Okay.
As far as riding, it can produce a small ride until you hit one of those big bumps. My father was a farmer and an educator. He taught high school here in Blackstone, then got his master's and taught at Longwood College in Farmville, Virginia. That's when he got the bug, I guess you call it, for collecting. As he was collecting one vehicle, he was looking for more wheels, and they found out he could find the carriages quicker than he could find extra wheels. It was just something, a fascination, that when my dad bought the first one and I got to learn to drive, no person could experience unless they're behind that rein, making that horse move. I was basically the one that was following him, going to the auctions with him, helping him load them, helping him clean them up. My dad's vision had been, what will I do with these carriages? Him and my mom had decided to develop a carriage museum. The town council at that point was very instrumental in trying to help them get this established in around the year 2000.
And not only did they have a dream, they put up money for the museum. They donated the carriages to the town, but before they did that, they paid to have them refurbished. And Mr. Thomas, the museum's namesake, his health began to decline as the museum was nearing completion. And thank goodness, in September 2007, he was able to come and stand and cut the ribbon. It was one of my first ribbon cuttings as mayor, as a matter of fact. He passed 3 months after that.
Her passion afterwards was to continue that after my dad passed away, to make sure this museum was open and carrying on his legacy. When I tell people we are the second largest public display of carriages, they're even more shocked. 2 vehicles in there that have family connections. The surrey with the fringe on top was used in my sister's wedding. The hearse was used here to carry my mother to the gravesite. So these have basically been things that have been continued on as part of the family. basically can boost the town's pride because of the fact that they can be proud of something that can bring people here. When I've done school tours, the children are awestruck, especially when they come in and see the horse that's hooked up. And I'd say, this is what it looks like when that horse is hooked up, and hearing some of the stories and just looking around. They're amazed because it's not something they see. Something from the past, something you cannot see anywhere anymore. Unless you go into Pennsylvania or Indiana and parts of Virginia here where you see the Old Order Mennonites and the Amish. These are too fancy for many of them. So what you're seeing is what the normal average person would have used in their lifetime. The reason people should be coming here is it's something different and something they would never see again.
Just had a quick idea. I guarantee you, there's ways to put QR, and to be a simplified, there's ways to put a QR code at each of the carriages and actually
then
have,
you can-
and have a narrative
That'd be cool.
to a certain, I'm sure it can be tied to the site as just a separate page. And so it immediately goes straight to that carriage that has that QR code. I guarantee you there's it's probably simple ways to do it instead of,
And it can tell you about each carriage.
tells you about each carriage.
That'd be cool.
You can,
It's a simple QR code.
you can zoom in on this to each,
Yeah.
but there could be more, I guess.
Yeah.
Than the little plackets are not too extensive, but these photographs were part of that also.
So if you click on a photo, just randomly, I was just curious to see. I guarantee you there's a way that a QR code can automatically go to that picture and it'd be a voiceover on that picture.
And give you the history of that particular
Well, you don't need a QR code if you're already on your phone.
Well, no, I'm saying
When you're in the
when you're
place,
in the museum,
yes.
when they're in the museum,
Yes.
you take, I mean, everybody's got QR code. I mean, you just take your camera out and immediately pulls up that and it'll have an audio.
But can you put the QR code on the website?
No.
Well, no.
You
would
just have the
automatically-
audio on the
Yeah,
website.
because when you click that, it will automatically tell you about that carriage
You could do it on those. This is the 3D part.
that you can actually go through. I've seen
Oh, that's
those.
cool.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that.
That is interesting.
So then you click on it and it will zoom. I'm not really good at maneuvering, but so you can
Oh, that's
kind
cool.
of
You can look at each of them with little placards.
yes.
good.
That's how
Yeah,
you have
cool.
to I'm not very good at doing it.
Tap the circle.
Yeah, you click your circles that are in the walkway, and that takes
Okay.
you to the actual podium itself.
There you go. And then
Ah,
then
well,
you can
there-
zoom in.
That's
See.
all right. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, that's cool.
Yep.
So,
Alright.
but yeah,
it's
adding
awesome
more
stuff.
audio would
Yeah.
be a cool idea to just put the QR
Absolutely.
code right on there.
I bet you it's an easy fix.
Like on the little placard, put the QR code and you just take a picture
So
of it.
when
and it'll
someone's in
have
there,
an audio
yes.
in it.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a good idea. No, this is
That's a good idea.
perfect right there. That worked. That's
Yeah.
exactly
Because
what
I mean, obviously, somebody can tell us more than what that little simple sign can say.
Yeah.
I'm sure there could be a 2-minute blurb about
Yeah, let
what
Robert
it is.
do his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Do one for each one.
I guess there's more. A cart similar to a Red River cart was used for hauling freight in a
Donated by Doug Colburn.
Yep.
Man,
Oh.
got a wagon here.
so
Yeah,
that's
I
how this
I think it's
thing
an awesome
works.
start. Now, how easy do we have anybody that has a wherewithal as to how to update this site?
I'm trying to get well, we have a lady, the person that created it and did the site is in Farmville.
Okay.
So it's a local person
So
and
it's accessible. I mean,
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
it will
yeah.
cost something,
So
but
I mean, honestly, I didn't know a whole ton of details about the site.
She's here in Justin's absence.
Yeah.
But this is great.
So-
I had no
That's
idea.
that's great. I like
did
it.
not
Yeah,
know.
so this is what the CARES money did, and then we got a VTC grant to create the whole site as a whole.
Yeah.
But now I think it's time that we make sure we push it out harder.
Correct.
and-
Like I believe,
Put it
Mr.
on your
Page has
site.
mentioned that he would like to see the inn. He's been confronted by the inn that they would like to have the lodge because I believe there's a lodging section.
And it's nothing on there, and
Yeah,
I
Mhm.
because this came up, I
We
just,
have Alex Davis that works for us, and
Yeah.
she's the town's website manager. I don't know how
I don't know how this
Great
was
she
built,
did.
and I can find out all of that
we
stuff.
can figure it out, and we can do labor.
Yeah, upload a lot of
She-
stuff in there.
She's given some extra money to maintain our Facebook page and our website and all that. So maybe she can.
Well, I need to get more details from, her name is Dawn.
But this is way
That-
in advance of what I was expecting to see. he presented.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
No, that really.
But I think the website needs more work,
Can I
personally.
see the one from Swartz Tavern?
Sure. Let's go back, let's see. So,
And I don't know if we'd advertise.
and
it
this
at
is
all.
another like little slideshow thing. No, it needs more promotion, you
Promotion,
know, to
sure.
make sure it's on everywhere. Let's see.
So like stay doesn't have anything because of.
No, it does not.
Well, at the time, we didn't have any places to stay.
It had the Gray Swan, I was told, and then they took it off, even though you can still rent that.
Yeah.
You can rent it like the, I didn't know there's a little house on North Main Street, looks like a little bungalow. It's gray. I think it's way out Main, North Main.
Is
You
that-
can stay there like Airbnb.
Oh, there's 14 Airbnbs in there.
It's completely redone inside. It's gorgeous little thing. Going out of town,
Yeah, my cousin owns it.
it is adorable. I had no idea.
Where's that located at?
Going out of Cox, going down Cox Road, Michael Tucker owns it.
Is it on the right?
Yes.
The inside is
I'm
precious.
not sure which one it is. Is those two little houses?
Yeah,
that
and it's
The
the.
two
go to each other?
Pay or Eggleston used to own.
Yeah,
They were in
Michael
pretty bad
Tucker
shape.
bought
They
them.
look
They
like
live up in
Yeah, they
Washington.
were.
The inside is like totally redone looking.
Yeah,
It's
both
modern
houses,
looking.
yeah. Right there where that ATV repair place is.
Yep.
Mhm.
So more photos, and you can click here. There are more photos, and these are just like a slideshow with music. I'm not gonna make it big because then I'd have to have a keyboard. I think.
Then you gotta figure how to get out of it.
Yeah. I think these are those photos in a slideshow with music. So that's pretty much all that is.
Okay.
But then this is the same type of deal.
No ladybugs on the floor. Amazing.
Good
And
stuff
in there?
Usually ladybugs on the floor.
Like that is actually a very good picture too. I mean,
Well, it's very high resolution
I was about to
photos
say the color
to do it.
in there is actually
That's pretty.
extraordinary.
Yeah, it makes you interested in it.
Is this part of Bobby Daniels' display?
Yes.
I think it was Bobby
Part
Daniels
of
stuff. He gave me the armbrusters.
Yeah.
We've got the Garden Center one at the Garden Center.
Got a cardboard box that may need to be moved in the next picture.
Let's see. All right, let's see. So you can, I guess you
Can you
can
zoom in
zoom
on
in.
this? Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
These are from the original Centennial. Those were put in there.
Which I can tell you, it sounds like some of this history is going to change. I think Peggy Figler has found some.
No, no.
But I
Maybe
wonder
it's-
about that. Do you know who wrote this?
I don't know.
Yes, I do.
Maybe Arlen Harris, I would guess.
No, Jimmy Wooten wrote this,
Oh, wow.
and he is a renowned historian.
Pretty
I
well
don't.
done.
I'm not comfortable with changing what he.
Well, whatever, if
He
anything is ever
researched.
changed, it has to be documented. I mean, it has to be proof that it.
Then
it's
I
been
would want to
changed.
see the proof.
Absolutely.
Because Jimmy was very involved in the Centennial, and
Correct.
he helped write the brochure and write all of this. And Ms. Williams, just so you know, I worked in that building for 7 years with the Chamber of Commerce. Where that bed was where my desk was.
Okay.
So I have a good knowledge of the building and the history. And Hildred Lee used to come and talk to me. He did the actual renovation and reconstruction. And he told me that whole staircase that's right there at the beginning where it goes up two sides and then goes up and then goes up again and then goes up again.
Yeah.
He said it took him like months to fix that. It was all caved in.
The whole place was in shambles, I believe.
Yeah.
Was in shambles?
Was.
Yeah.
I got pictures of it. You know,
Yeah.
it's something that we would have burned the fire department.
Yeah.
Oh, I know how that is. I'm learning that
We would have cooked that
myself.
rascal.
So I just, let's be careful about changing the history. I mean, that's my opinion
It
anyway.
would all have to be vetted. I mean, it would have to be perfect.
Yeah, but see, but the thing was completed in time for the centennial in 1988. And there's, I don't know where all the books are. That committee put together all these books with all the buildings downtown and the history of each building. Miss Harris used to come in there all the time, and she had all that stuff upstairs.
Yeah.
But Bob Hinkle's still living. He would still be a very good information person about what's going on. And yeah.
I mean, there's
And
talk-
no, I never had any haunting issues. People used to ask me, "Isn't it haunted?"
There's talk that the building that I'm redoing, the Dewey House, was actually moved to that location from the grounds possibly of this.
Interesting. Well, yeah, it says that it was 100 and some acres, and it had, you know, all types
Some
of.
pictures prior to renovation.
So we're
that I
still
didn't
trying to
like.
figure all that stuff out.
Oh, wow.
If you got documentation, but
That's really cool.
You
You
could
can read
always-
the signs, you can zero in the signs, that's great.
yeah,
If there's a way to do some of the audio too, that'd be really cool. If somebody wanted to.
This would be harder because there's so much different stuff.
Uh-huh.
But the carriages, I feel like you can have an audio of one carriage.
Instead of a
well, you could just
4-line
do that
thing, you
room,
could
like
do one
some
room.
of the things in this room,
Yeah,
because it's
that's
not,
Thank you.
the original didn't have that quilt in there. When they, that quilt got added later, and there's, I think it's like a piece of paper laying in there to tell you about the quilt. But that was made by a whole bunch of Blackstone ladies.
For the centennial or sesquicentennial or whatever. it is.
So, well, maybe they put it in there right when the centennial happened. I feel like it was later, but maybe not.
That could be the town flag. We could use the
A
quilt as
little
flag.
busy, but maybe.
I'm sorry.
I get too much going on.
But they kind of call this the Blackstone room, and it's more about Blackstone's history than
Well-
the building's history,
Yeah.
unless they've changed anything. Because that's,
They said that they've run out of room of Blackstone history.
yeah,
They need more room for the history of Blackstone itself.
yeah.
We'll talk about some of those things here very shortly.
In the armory, maybe? That's what I
I'll
would think.
present to you guys some of the thoughts and where we're at on the armory a little bit.
Yeah.
And I will say, since I've started this up here, I have a little more respect for the history aspect of Blackstone. And it's pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
Pretty intriguing.
Is it?
And I mean, I don't know it all, trust me.
Is this the armory?
No, that is
That'd be
the
a
One of
big
the
school building in
schools?
Clay's Assisted Living.
Is this, is
Is
that,
it, or is that the old high school?
No, I believe that's the old military academy that got torn down behind Heritage Hall.
because there were two military
That's probably right.
academies
The one that got torn
In
down.
the picture, it has the actual academy right now, or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dormitory.
right there.
No, beside it, you can see in the big painting. See,
Yeah.
see on the bottom painting?
Yeah.
Yep. See the big building there, and then the current
Yep,
academy
yep,
is
yep,
right there.
That's right.
Well, was it one or two different names?
Who Military Academy?
And then there was Blackstone Military Academy, right?
Well, they were all the same. So the
What's the same?
dormitory is what the Blackstone Academy Square is now. That's the dormitory.
Mm-hmm. There's a picture up here of like all the students right there.
It's all pretty interesting.
This map right here is really cool too. It's like a Civil War era map. Right there. It's on the wall right there. You
Yeah,
can't
that
see
you
it.
can't see right. I like that green. I don't know why.
Bob Hinkle always tells me why. He used to tell me, he used to, in his tour, talk about why the fireplaces are orange.
By the way, though,
Fireplaces are orange.
I would assume they just daubed them with clay.
Hmm.
So, get fireproof.
And this is the only non-original mantle. That was always part of his story. He used to give a fun tour.
He had a fun spirit to him.
Ms. Williams, do you remember Bob Hinkle?
I don't.
You ran flower and
Flower and
foliage
foliage
up
in
here.
Blackstone
It
by
was
the
fun
post
as he was
office.
there. Loved to dress up like period costumes. and-
Yes. I'm sure there's photos of him and Bill and Betty Wright.
I've seen
Did he,
pictures
did
of
he
Bill
die?
Petty.
Yeah, he died.
No, he
he's
hadn't
still-
died.
He's
He's
up
still
in
living.
Stanton.
Stanton.
Oh, okay.
So these things scare people.
My son, when we had that tour up there, oh my goodness, he cried for the next hour after we left
Really?
The
These,
town-
these mannequins scare
Yeah.
people.
because of those mannequins.
They've been in there.
The mannequins.
Oh, they
Let's see.
scared him. Oh,
I started working in there in 1997.
Uh-huh.
They were there then.
We had
They're really old.
we had costumes that college and high school kids would wear,
Yeah.
and I remember.
I remember that.
The accountant over on Fifth Street, Mr. Mahaney. I can't remember the gentleman's name. Right there across from, or next door to where Tyler
Mooney.
Banks, Mooneyham.
Because
His
he had a
daughter
daughter,
was,
April. Yeah.
She was dressed up and did like summer.
They did that one summer. I remember when they would come in there.
Yep.
But these are all really faded, honestly. They're pretty rough. And then it goes. I don't
This
guess
was like the dance hall room, I believe.
that's what
Got the poker
that's
table and
what
stuff.
Bob said. This was the room they would retire to after they ate.
Look at the top back wall, where the wall, see there was cracked?
Yeah,
That's
right
part of
there.
what we're repairing,
That damage.
Oh,
from
that
the-
right there.
water damage. That big tree that was there,
Uh-huh.
well, last time we painted it, we had to replace several of the boards on the outside, because there was a lot of rot in there, and squirrels had gotten in it, and so we
Yes.
replaced the outside, I think we stopped the leak, but the damage you can see in the ceiling.
I was there one time when the squirrel was upstairs in this, above this room. Sounds like an elephant upstairs.
That tree
I was
we
all the
cut
way
down-
down the other end of the building, but I could hear him up there, and he tore up so much stuff up there. It was terrible.
That tree we cut down, you remember how big that tree
Yes,
was?
it was
It was completely
humongous.
rotten, you could stick a screwdriver through it and,
That was just recently.
Huh?
That was just recently. Last
Just
2 or
within-
3 years.
cut through it. Dan, I
Yeah, but
guess,
the,
found it. They were
the
working
ivy
on
on that was
grass.
so old. The ivy was heart-shaped.
Mm.
It was so old.
So if you guys have some suggestions to enhance, improve, we'll go ahead and link it on our website.
Oh, yeah, just a link.
I don't know. how
Needs
do
to
it,
be
but
everywhere.
Mhm.
On the Facebook page, put it on there, visit
Yeah.
this, and
But if you have some suggestions on the audio stuff, like you said, these QR codes or something like that, you can sit down with, Ms. Brazil, when she gets here, and maybe come up with some ideas.
I
on
would
how
like to see them to where they're actually, being that we can't create them as one site as the town and this together, to where there's a link, obviously, to go to the town site from this, and from the town site, there's a link to go to this one.
Right.
yeah,
It could be,
And put it on
Yeah.
Facebook too, and maybe,
yeah.
is there a way to post stuff on Facebook permanently?
oh,
Yes, you
Yeah.
pin it to the top.
You put it at the top, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and that should be up there.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Field, you have my congratulations, this is good,
It's good.
very nice.
Alrighty.
Well,
Do you
we
want
wanted
this?
to
This is
kind
the
of go
press
over
link.
what had been done, and it appears this is what's been done, there can be some improvements, and
Oh,
we can, I think, advertise them.
always ongoing
Correct.
thing, so when I looked at it, I said, yes, more. So I agree.
You're cool with us giving it to council and all that?
Yeah, that was the press release, it's a year old, but yeah, sure.
We'll
Here, I have one more if you want another.
give them all to council, let everybody know, and then we'll maybe have Alex take a look at how to link this stuff, and then let everybody know the next council.
Yeah, well, I'll try to get, like I said, if I can find out how she built, what she built it with.
Yeah, and obviously we know, I mean, all that stay section, we need to revamp to have
Yeah.
in, Patriot Square, all these places.
Oh, the lodging part of it.
Yeah.
We'll do that, and, well, I'm sure Alex can figure that out pretty quick.
Well, we've gotta be able to
We
figure out
gotta
how
be
to.
able to access the back end.
Yeah,
And
And I
Justin
don't
can
know
tell
the-
us.
We have the restaurants and all that already loaded
There's only
in.
2 restaurants.
yeah, it's not many.
It's not,
But we don't-
not built out, I agree. So, I need to find out,
It's a good template to start with.
Y'all wanna
Yes.
flow with
yeah,
it?
it looks pretty.
You want us to try to get the lodging on there?
Well, let me find out from what the contract with this woman entailed, and That
Whether
kinda
she's gotta
stuff.
be, if she's hosting it, whether she's gotta make it.
I think she's hosting it, and I don't even know who went and bought that domain name.
I'm shocked that it was available.
The Blackstone Chamber let blackstoneva.com go.
Yeah.
It's,
That's one that the town needs to have.
we'll get it.
It's probably under ransom now. They should pay a fortune for it.
If somebody got it, you can check.
No, speaking in foreign languages, it's in ransom.
Downtownblackstone.org, I bought that so that it would never get gone. So my name is still on the registrar with it, and, I just donate paying for it every year. And then, but I bought several, like downtownblackstone.org, .com,
Did you-
yeah, so that other people won't get them. I don't know why they let blackstoneva.com go, because it had been a household, the used name for so long.
You're welcome to stay.
What do y'all think about that?
You ready to move forward?
Yes, we're ready to do
Okay.
it.
I've handed to you the response to our recent, request for qualification,
Thank
for
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye-bye.
specifically roofing services. We have, probably 3 or 4 roofs that are leaking. We talked a little bit about this at the last council meeting, and they have sent me a general services agreement, and I will make sure Tessie doesn't have any stress about it. But I don't have a cost estimate. I'm hoping to have a cost estimate ready for the council either at the 20th, and if you guys didn't get the email, I think I forgot to advertise 2 public hearings. I think forgot, I just didn't get it done. And we had a short month in February, so I didn't have an extra week, so we're gonna have to have a call meeting on the 27th for those 2 double wide requests.
I saw that.
And if not on the 20th, if I don't have it for you then, hopefully on the 27th I'll have it for you. This is the responsible qualification, so I've been authorized to enter into agreement, but we don't have a dollar figure for the replacement of the roof at the tavern. And obviously you saw those little wet spots in the ceiling. I think we got the water fixed, but we gotta get the ceiling.
Oh, I mean, constantly you see those cedar shakes falling off.
You cut
so.
the grass over there, go over there, there's cedar shakes laying around. So, hopefully within the next week or 2 weeks, I'll have an approximate cost estimate.
For both of these? You have it for one and not the other for the fire department?
Yeah, the newer one in the Carriage Museum, the roof is still pretty new. This one is, I'm gonna guess, 34, 35 years. I think this renovation was undertaken in the late 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And the cedar shakes have met or exceeded their expected lifespan. And I can tell you, the water that got in there didn't necessarily come from the roof. I think it was more from the siding being rotten.
At this point, it's just trying to be proactive instead of reactive after the
It's like a $12 million raw water line. It's not giving us a huge bit of problem, but I can tell you
It will.
before too long.
Yeah.
Okay. But those are for you, for the Building and Grounds Committee. There's only one response that we received, and you can just hang on to that if you like. But that will be the folks that are gonna look at it. So you know too, the other leaking roofs are the medical center. We had a pernicious leak around some air conditioning, air handling units that are on the roof. Man, we've gone over there and splotched tar on it, but we need to solve that thing once and for all.
Which
Get it patched.
that can be expended to them, correct?
It is, yes. Roof repairs and things like that, we actually send them a bill this time of the year, in the spring, for the previous 12 months.
Kind of like a true up. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So we'll pass it on. The town shop over on Church Street at the Christmas party, we looked up and said, what is that, for their ceiling tiles missing? We're gonna try to find a way to make sure that that thing is patched up, okay? Cause we've been up there slopping tar and adhesive on there to little or no effect.
Flat roofs.
Yeah, so we'll be working on these roofs, and that is the contractors that'll be helping with. And like I said, hopefully I'll have a price. I have already put aside $120,000. It was budgeted for 120. I had 2 different estimates for a roof on the tavern. One was 70,000, and one was 120, and I went worst case scenario. So hopefully it'll come in less, and we can apply that money towards something else during the course of the year. Okay, but the cash is already set aside. We put a little bit of time aside, so we don't have to dig into anything or concern ourselves with how would we pay for the roof to be replaced. The cash is set aside in our money market account. Okay. Armory, very quickly, if you don't mind. Where we're at on the armory currently is the asbestos abatement going on. And I know I touched on these in the council meeting, but maybe if you have any questions in more detail, there's a contractor called Waco Environmental that is actually doing the asbestos abatement. If you notice, there's no windows, no glass in some of the windows because they had to take the glaze, which is the putty that holds those old window panes and those old frames. It's kind of like a paste that goes around. It's actually asbestos containing material. And so that's what they're taking out of the windows. The windows, the small windows in the front and the back, so you know, will be replaced. They're scheduled for actually being taken out and replaced, and that's why they're boarded up. The ones in the main bay, that glass will have to go back in there because we're gonna reuse those. Okay, that's why the glass isn't going back on those smaller windows, because they're actually coming out. Okay, but the bigger windows, our architect is intending on reusing those. When we, I think I reported to council on the 13th of March, or the week of the 13th of March, the expectation is that the underground storage tank will be coming out of the ground. We signed a contract with Hydro Geo from Charlottesville, and it really was a huge contract. It was like $11,000 or $12,000 to get that underground heating oil tank. But there's an appreciable amount of bad smelling earth around that tank, so there's been some release in there.
Contaminate the ground, any?
It's probably some groundwater contamination, there's probably some soil contamination, there's probably all of the above. The beauty of it is, because we have potable water in the area, DEQ or the health department, they don't get too worked up like the town shop when we sold it. There was noted groundwater contamination, but because everybody's on potable water in the area, the health department, or DEQ, I should say, doesn't get too worked up about it. But we'll probably have to take a lot of dirt out and have it sent off to an appropriate facility because it'll be contaminated with petroleum. It's a heating oil tank. I think it's about 1,000 gallons. Lead-based paint. I reported at the last council meeting that we hope this week or next we're going to have this sucker in the paper, and it needs to get in the paper. We need to go and do that. And we're going back and forth with Perry Pence, who's the inspector, and Commonwealth Regional Council. And guys, we got to come to a resolution and just get this in the paper. And hopefully we will have that advertised next week. Our architect is Commonwealth Architects, and we'll probably start meeting, not on a regular basis, but we'll be discussing this stuff a little bit more. Commonwealth Architects is ready to go with their drawings, except for they need a little more guidance on the kitchen, okay? And the kitchen is really dictated by the schools, how they want it, what they want, and that sort of thing. And Chastity had a stakeholder meeting scheduled yesterday with Virginia Union University and Raj from VMAC. And sadly, Virginia Union canceled at the last minute, so we had a tremendous lunch for 4 people. So we really need to get that going.
I did speak to them today.
Yeah,
They want us to come up on a Thursday,
on a Thursday.
because that's the day that their provost and their higher ups will be available. They said they're gonna try to schedule it for next week or the week after,
We'd like to get in front of them and get some
to get the signatures for them.
signatures and people.
You want ink.
Yeah.
Before we, we've already paid a good portion of money for the plans, but we really want, before we get into construction and sign a contract with a contractor, we want these grants to be definitive.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if we don't have these MOUs signed, certainly Tobacco Commission had predicated that grant on us getting that signature.
When is the finish date of this whole project for the Armory?
Plan is, the majority of the money for the Armory is ARPA money, $2.25 million. And that has to be expended by August of '24? August of '24, so we gotta go. It's time to get this thing going, okay? Because whatever reason, there may be delays or whatever, we need to get this thing taken care of. And Chastity's done a fantastic job with the grants. As you know, we had the 2.25, we didn't apply for that, we were just eligible for that from the federal government. $1 million Industrial Revitalization Fund grant. Chastity and Commonwealth Regional Council wrote that, and that was $1 million, and $581,000 from the Tobacco Commission. Again, Chastity was involved with that one. And the last grant we
USDA, we submitted all of it, they're reviewing it as we speak.
that's the last grant. That'd be for $247,000, if I'm not mistaken, and that pays for the kitchen. All the equipment, refrigerators, freezers, all that sort of stuff. And in addition, the work we're doing now is a Virginia Economic Development Partnership grant of $250,000 to do the lead-based paint, asbestos, and the underground storage tank. That's all. If this works, if this all works, this project could be completed without the commitment of town taxpayers and direct dollars from local source. Ultimately, it's all federal government. You pay taxes for any of these things, but it would be if it all worked out, and it's all we think it will, if it all works out, it'll be in 30 years of being a town manager, one of the bigger projects we've been able to put together with this much grant.
That'd be awesome. That's
It
awesome.
could turn out really, we still have maintenance and long-term care of the building that could look, different in the town's budget.
Well, that's why we're hoping to have some partnerships in that
We-
building as well. That's the big.
What we'd like to do, what we've been trying to do is, as far as partnership goes, Raj Patel with the Inn at Blackstone, the old VMAC property, he's keenly interested in being involved in this project for a couple reasons. One is he wants to make sure that it's not a direct competitor for weddings and things, okay? But also, he's going to be the direct recipient of a lot of these students, we think. That's why we're doing this, to make sure we've got people that can work in these facilities. And Raj has explained to me before, he said, there's not a huge pool of folks in Southside Virginia necessarily looking for jobs. He said it's harder to find people here than it is perhaps in Richmond or DC and Northern Virginia. And he really wants to help with. Last item on the Armory that we'll discuss very quickly, I have met with Sally Rich, I believe is her name, is that correct?
Yes.
Sally Rich, and some other folks from the Luther F. Foster,
Luther H.
Luther H. Foster Alumni Association, which is the equivalent of what we have in Amelia, the Russell Grove Alumni Association, the first consolidated African American school, or high school in the county. The town of Amelia County renovated the old Russell Grove School, which was still standing. We did that 20 plus years ago using DHCD money, and we built a small museum piece where they could display their football helmets, yearbooks, stuff. And they've got display cases, and they can have events there. It's not terribly big, it's half the size of this council chambers, but if they wanted to have a social, if they wanted to have something like that, they could do that in there. We've talked to the Luther H. Foster folks, and they have interest in doing the same thing in the Armory Museum District. We can't dedicate a huge amount of the space because of grant requirements and all that sort of thing. But I recently met with the Blackstone High School as well, and Susan Roberts, who is Penn Roberts' wife, and she taught school in Amelia and was an administrator over there for many, many years. They have a reunion coming this year. I guess it's a 50th plus reunion. And it'll be one of the last ones I think that they'll have for the foreseeable future. They're gonna have it at, she intends to have it at the Inn in Blackstone. I asked her if they would be interested in something as well, to have a display case for Blackstone High School memorabilia and that sort of thing. And she did in writing, sent me a letter back and said they had interest in doing something like that.
And they, these two groups, they would pay for that room or rent it, or we're just giving it to them, or?
I think it would be dedicated strictly to them now. I wouldn't anticipate it. It would be a Luther Foster event or a Blackstone High School event. And they can put their stuff in there.
When you say dedicated, meaning that no group, I envision, because we can't limit space so much, I envision that it have their memorabilia on the wall, and it be that room for that organization. But if the Rotary Club wanted to meet there, we could still meet.
I agree. I think that
We
would be
can't
the case,
just
but
say
That's
this
what I was
room's-
asking
This
that.
room's only used
Only for
once a
them.
year for.
right. But I don't think the alumni groups will be renting it out.
Correct.
If
Right.
the group wanted to use it, fill out a form.
Absolutely,
And do
Yeah, be that room for a year.
But
That's
But
what I was
that's the
asking.
theme of that room. Is
Right.
what
It'd
I'm
be an
thinking in
alumni
my head.
room or something.
Yeah.
So we've got to find some way to make sure the stuff can't be taken off the shelf and walked
Absolutely.
off.
Well, I
There's
mean,
gotta
it's going to be
some kind
staffed, so I mean, it also that building will have to have a staff
of-
member.
So we've had those conversations, and I think it's a neat idea because we don't have the Russell or the Luther Foster School anymore here. Amelia was blessed. It looked like that picture. I mean, it was in bad shape, and DHCD paid to renovate the rascal, and well, that's where the idea came from. And after we had talked to Russell Grove, Luther Foster folks, then after I talked to Susan a couple, 3 weeks ago about it and asked her if she had some interest in it, maybe to put some memorabilia.
I think it's good to have all aspects of history. I mean, absolutely.
Okay. So, if that is agreeable, we'll move in that direction now. It's not gonna be a lot of space. It may be a small place for the displays, but maybe they can access other rooms or that
Correct.
sort of thing and do the thing. So the Armory's moving along, fits and starts, but, before we get bids, we wanna make sure we've got stuff. So we don't want a contractor to either be told, we can't move forward, or, we don't want a contractor to have a contract and find out the money's not
Virginia
forthcoming.
State's MOU and agreement are here. Tessie has some reviewing them before we sign.
Certainly moving forward, we just want to get that done before we leap off
Dive
the
in.
cliff.
So Virginia Tech, they're not doing it, because I know they came and did the presentation that time, so they're out with the Quaternary School and all that.
I've spoke with Virginia Tech and I've spoke at length with Everett University. But it looks like the last man standing, or last men standing, or ladies standing is gonna be Virginia Union and Virginia State University. And you've also had a conversation with Central Virginia Community College that has a hospitality program. Southside does not have one. Is there any status to that, or?
They have not reached back
They
out.
haven't.
And I've invited them to the stakeholder meetings. They haven't said.
We can't wait on people.
Can't wait on
Yeah.
We just gotta go with
Yeah.
the two that we've got.
I think with Everett, they were the first one to dance. But I think when the casino
And Danville.
opened in Danville,
Mhm.
or was proposed in Danville, I think that they see potentially more opportunity working with the casino and the hotel.
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So,
Well, HBCUs should get more grant funding, so that would help us out.
Yeah.
it didn't hurt having Virginia Union, Virginia State on that grant application, I can tell you that, that caught some attention.
Mm-hmm.
Armory, moving forward. Town flag,
It's in your,
in your packet? I guess first of all, do y'all want a town flag?
I don't see why not. I mean,
Where would we put it at, in here?
it's a prideful thing.
I mean, cause I was gonna say, where's it going?
We would put it on the flagpole at Sea Park or?
Cause that's what I was asking too. At, would we put it at Sea Park?
I would guess that would be the first location, then maybe here at the PD or?
Yeah, Mayor Coburn wanted it, cause, when they presented to me, I said, Jennifer, where did this come from? I don't even know about this conversation. So she got me, all of this, information and stuff.
Yep, we don't have a designated town flag. We have a town seal, which I think is the gazebo at Sea Park, isn't it? Yeah, I think if you look at, I've got the town seal on my business card. Nope, short down.
that's what I was saying, no, I don't think
The
that's
actual
usual.
seal of the town is right there.
Okay, yeah.
It's the town seal, and, he's got the tavern in this flag.
From what I'm understanding by just reading the email, and I think designed by Billy and staff of a flag company, I believe, and his own staff. But I think he said he'd donate the first flag to the town.
Right.
And then sell a flag to the town at cost. But then obviously he's gonna want to sell them at his business, which
Oh, is that his thing? He wants to be able to like distribute everywhere. I got you, okay.
Which, if he wants to be the distributor of a flag, I mean, as
Yeah.
long as the town can buy some for ourselves to display or to,
Do you like this layout?
doesn't, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I think it's fine. The first thing I thought was your seal, but then the seal would it's too small. Obviously, you could only put the seal in the middle,
You
but
can make it in the middle.
yeah.
Okay. The eagle good? You good with the eagle?
Yeah, I'm good with the eagle.
And then he explained the 13 or the certain amount of stripes on the top.
35 stripes.
35 stripes.
135 uses.
Yeah. So no, I mean it's fine with me.
Yeah, fine with me.
You okay with the design?
Yeah, I just wanna know where it came from, cause I never heard
Billy,
about it.
with whatever systems, but
Yeah.
Billy was the one that provided
Yeah.
this to us.
Yeah, cause I reached out to Jennifer, then she reached out to, Billy and got all this information for us.
Is there a motion to recommend this design?
I move to recommend it to the full council as shown in the packet.
I second.
All those in favor?
Alright.
Okay.
Yeah, he already did all the work, so
Yeah.
we gotta do anything.
Last item, and this is as much informational for you guys. This is the week of the Lakeview Cemetery cleanup. Yikes.
A lot of it.
There's a lot of stuff, but I just wanna give you guys heads up. Yesterday, instead of doing my advertisements for the planning commission, I was in the cemetery cleaning stuff up. And, yeah, we got a lot of stuff, and no more necessarily than any year previous, but it's pretty controversial.
Any complaints this year?
I haven't gotten any complaints yet, but I want them.
What was it? I mean,
What we have in the cemetery, a lot of people like flowers.
Right.
They put them all over the creation. And so we struggled a couple, 3 years ago. Wade Hammer was still on the committee, so it's been however long it's been since Wade's been gone, certainly. And it became a lot of stuff, teddy bears and wagons and liquor bottles, and there's all kinds of memorabilia out there. So I think the committee at the time, I remember Wade was on there, and Eric, or Ben Green may have even been on, came up with a policy that was pretty stringent, like no stuff. And I think there's been 2 or 3 revisions, including last year, we had a revision on Christmas decorations. So it's a living, breathing document, but the policy for the most part says you can put your stuff on the headstone, flowers.
As long as it's on it, not on the ground,
On
so
the
it doesn't
ground.
cause an issue cutting grass around it.
Yeah.
right,
And it's really a headache for the guys to pick the grass
Right.
up and weed eat and or
Right.
put the flowers and all that. So, but if you do have a concrete or cement or metal container, you can leave that in there because we can weed it around it
Right.
without turning all pieces. But when people just jab flowers in the ground, they go everywhere. So that's the biggest gist of it. Including at Christmas time, I think it's a week or 2 weeks before Christmas, people are allowed to put those wreaths with
Tripod
easels, the
easels.
tripod easels. Because so many people were doing them, I was yanking them up and people were carrying on. So council said, let's just come up with a happy medium. So 2 weeks before Christmas, people are allowed to have an exemption where they can put the Christmas wreaths.
and then they go and take them down themselves, or,
They're supposed to. If they don't, after Christmas,
and then the, committee, when y'all go in to clean, y'all just pull everything out.
well, 1 week a year, and it's the first week in March, first full week in March, it started yesterday. I go in there and do a cleanup and take out, because a lot of things are like old Thanksgiving stuff, old Christmas stuff, and as we get into grass cutting season, we wanna clean out all the old tattered American flags, Confederate flags, all that kind of stuff, so I've taken all that up yesterday, so I wanted to let you guys know, if you get stopped in Food Line, someone stole all my stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't use the word steal, but the town did take it up, okay?
Do we discard correctly of the American flags?
I have a box in
Okay,
my
I
office,
just
and
wanna
I
make
put all
sure.
the American flags in there.
BFW, I think.
Well, last time I took them to Northwest Ace, and they do that as a community service. They dispose of them, but I also found a second disposal spot. Nottaway County has in the county administrator's office has a container.
Gotcha, okay. I just wanna make sure they're done
But
correctly.
Northwest Ace took our last box, yeah. Someone took a picture of a bunch of American flags in a dumpster one time.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, what happened? And it wasn't us. And
Yeah.
if you go in my office, there's a box full of American flags in there. Okay. I would like publicly to announce that we would love to partner with a group, somebody, and work on trying to put some flags out for Memorial Day in the cemetery. I don't know if there's a group that intends on doing it this year. I think Bev did it. Betty Brannon did it for years. She's passed. So if
Some
there's
group
somebody
in
else,
Lunenburg do it. I can ask my nephew, cause they had to do it. I think they did it in Lunenburg, then they went to Arlington. They went somewhere, it was a field trip or something. And I asked him, what was that about? So
or
we
if
can
there's a
find out.
civic group or something
Yeah,
that would like
I
to
think it was a
participate,
group.
and maybe we can get some flags out again. The flags put out last year were very small, but the thought counted, and somebody donated their time and their any energy and money and all that to put those flags, but they're real small and they're real susceptible to that lawnmower. Poof, those things went away from here pretty quick.
Yeah, with the little plastic stand, dude.
They were
Yeah.
really short. Taller flags are the good ones. The guys will obviously start cutting grass in there, and they're filling in graves over the winter time. The funeral home's responsible for maintaining the graves and filling it in for a period of time, but if there's any settling or if there's no grass, so that's what Winston and the guys are doing now. They're trying to get some grass to grow in the cemetery and figure out the grave. Okay. Also with the cemetery, very quickly, we have in the budget the purchase of cemetery software, so we can do, I don't know about a virtual tour in the cemetery, but we can put on the website where somebody can find a site. But I will let folks know, I use a website called Find a Grave, and it is very well updated. And I can find a lot of graves by just going to Find a Grave. So a lot of that information is already on a private website. But our plan is, I'm still using paper ledger, writing stuff. We want to start digitizing, saving cloud, not just on a stick. We want to have it saved and all that sort of thing, and accessible to the public, especially the very old records of the town.
You are with upgrading technology? I heard words like the cloud being used by you.
Oh, I'm the guy. So, our new employee, Carolyn Walker, who is hired to be the bookkeeper, took Jackie's place. She's gonna help me find 3 or 4 different contractors, maybe have them come down and do some interviews, and we would present some software packages to you guys. But it's in the budget this year to do, and it really, I'm using the 1935 book, opening up, it's like dust comes out of it when you open it up, and I need to modernize it a bit, but we're working on it. Okay. And last, in the cemetery, when we do tar and gravel work, we have signed a contract with Whitehurst Paving. Signed it back in the fall. Okay, we do the bids in the fall for paving for the spring and the summer. And Whitehurst Paving, when they're here, we're going to tar and gravel Memorial Drive, and there's 2 east-west roads, and then there's a tie-in road, so we'll do shallow tar and gravel. Okay. And if you have any questions about construction or anything going on. Okay. We started on East End curb and gutter yesterday, so if you get bored, drop by there and check it out. They've already poured about half a block of curb and gutter on Dillon Street.
Have we locked in on prices on that curb and gutter?
Yeah.
Just because I know I'm hearing this week, all concrete
Well, it's locked in. No,
plants are
it-
going up by like $40, $50 a yard.
Not to say Jason couldn't come to us and say, dude, I'm dying here.
Yeah.
Would you give us some consideration? But if you remember, that price is pretty tight. There's not a lot of
No,
consideration
okay.
to be given. So, but it is a lump sum contract bid with unit prices. And those unit prices, if he puts in 10 tons of stone rather than 8 tons, he's entitled to ask for 2 extra tons on a unit.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you
Okay.
for your time. I appreciate you coming down. This is our first building and properties, and if you have questions about buildings or properties.
Okay. Thank you.
And if you'd like any time to take tours of any of the facilities that we're talking about, if you wanna go to the airport building, or you wanna go to.
I went to the airport. That was impressive because I haven't been on it.
Anything you wanna go take a look at.
I like looking at the armory sometime, but I don't want to go in there when it's a hazard.
Well, we're doing
Yeah.
asbestos right now, we
Yeah.
can't go in the building, but as soon as the building's open and cleared, air quality test, I'd be more than happy to get you in there. Okay, you can take a walk around,
Okay.
alright?
All right. So we happy, everybody?
Yes, ma'am. I should take
Do I
a-
have to hit this? The meeting is adjourned at 7:20. That was
Bill,
great,
do you
guys.
know where these buildings went? That were out
Chastity.
here on the side?
Can't get your number, or either Sharon Street,
Did we turn this, the
because I want
camera on tonight or
to
not?
work with y'all.
I don't think she turned it
Yes,
on.
ma'am.
See, I don't know her,
Oh, okay.
because I'm not from Blacksville.
Okay.
I went to Brunswick.
I'm just curious.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't call
What
her.
these buildings were.
It's okay, you can give my number.
Because, no, I wanted to work with you guys,
But I mean, this place was.
with the June the 10th,
This
June
place
10th,
was a crap hole.
June 10th, and I want you to work with us on our walkathon.
Yes,
No
ma'am.
room for a shit.
So, I met a lady,
No, it's some kind of
It looks
shape.
like
They're
sheds.
just not into it with somebody
So-
who they wanna bring.
They're talking that this building up here was possibly mine.
Older than
Something
Sam.
for
Well,
kids
no,
to ride
it's not so
around,
much
see
that,
the
but it was
events.
possibly
around
on the grounds
Like,
up here at
not
St.
in-
If we're done, you can
Yes, I'm not.
turn it off.
That it was possibly on the grounds